Let me invite people to come forward for the forum. There is a lot of food, so grab a little food, a cup of coffee, come sit down. Yes, if somebody... Jay, could you just help, pass those out for people, thank you, as they arrive. Yep. Come sit down. Even if poetry isn't your thing, I think you'll get something out of it. It's going to be, come, sit down. Grab some coffee, come have a seat. Wow, this looks cattywampus, but come sit down. People chatting in the back. We need you. Gordon and Jennifer, I'm going to name people. Come forward. So, thank you all for coming. Let's just step back in a bigger picture. I'm trying not to apologize for poetry, but poetry can, seem, it's not my thing, or it's irrelevant, or academic, But I want to just step back and say, we do poetry all the time already in the church. So, maybe a classic example is Psalm 23. That's clearly a poem. The Lord is my shepherd. It has a metaphor, it has beautiful language, it's trying to describe something. So we can think of lots of different places, New and Old Testament. The greatest of these is love passage. I'm going to call that a poem. Somebody trying to use words to describe, in some ways, things indescribable, which is perfect for the religious world, with all of our mystery and metaphors and symbols. Think of all the hymns. Most of the hymns are poetry. The rhythm, the rhyme, the meter, the imagery. So every time we come to be in church service, as well as we can't get away from it in our religious life, poetry is really helpful and valuable as a way to touch on things of faith. I'm going to say in some ways other things can't, because so much of faith is not facts. It's not prose, this is this. It's the Lord is my shepherd, rather than I can give you an analysis of it. So I think that is a helpful way to have, poetry is this great tool, maybe essential tool for us to engage our faith. Okay, so that's the bigger issue, that's why I like looking at this subject. So I picked two gentlemen. Here they are, John Donne and George Herbert. What I want to do is just say a little about them and then look at their poetry. So if you can kind of see their dates, it's the late 1500s, early 1600s. And they're in England, right? This is the time of Shakespeare. And so there's a renaissance really in England and the King James Bible, right? Some of the highest points of English language that we still turn to, they're a part of this, right? So there was something definitely stirring in England. John Donne, we know, because in his writings, he said he loved to go to plays. And I am confident he went to a Shakespeare play. Probably Shakespeare was in the play that he saw, which is kind of marvelous. So that's the time you're thinking of. Going to the Globe Theater, writing poetry, what was going on in England at that time. So John Donne, his life so he came from a Roman Catholic family. And in England at that time, you would be oppressed if you were a Roman Catholic family. So they had all kinds of trouble, and he couldn't even get a college degree. He went to school, but they wouldn't give you a degree because you weren't Anglican, right? And so he had all kinds of turmoil in his early life. And one of the things he did is he wrote poetry. In his early life, he wrote racy poetry, dirty poetry. You can still find it today. But he was he was a passionate guy. And trying to sort out his faith, he got married to a woman secretly. Anne Moore was her name. And the father-in-law was so mad, he got thrown in prison. Can you imagine? For marrying your daughter, he threw him in prison. So he had a lot of money troubles, and we know even that he considered suicide at some points in his life. Things were not going well. Then in 1615, he was drawn to the Anglican Church and became ordained a priest. And so you really see a shift. He was marvelous with words, and now his words were going to be used for the church and for God. And he became eventually the dean of St. Paul's Cathedral, known for his sermons and his poetry that were religious poetry. So you kind of get these two sides of this guy, this racy, chaotic side, and then this life of faith side of him. George Herbert, born 20 years later, still about the same time though, again, King James Bible and all that Shakespeare stuff going on, just a much more steady life. He was Welsh, and he did not live very long, right? In his 40, was ill a lot of the time. He also became an Anglican priest, was ordained, and he had a little country parish in the south of England and wrote about what that meant to be just a country priest and how you live out your faith and how you ring the bells and all that. But he also loved poetry, and one of the ways that he would feed his congregation is by poetry, writing poems for them. And so both of these guys, lovers of words, Anglican priests in this time period. So that's their background. So what I like to do now, if you look on your sheet, if you look at the Holy Sonnet 14, what I'd like to do is I'm going to read each of these poems, if people don't have a sheet. And then I would like to talk a little about them. And then I also want to hear from you, because that's maybe one of the most important parts, is what are the words, what are the images, what speaks to you about these different poems, and then maybe we even compare and contrast them a little bit with what's going on, but you're going to hear from me first. Okay, so let me read Holy Sonnet 14 by John Donne. Batter my heart, three-person God, for you as yet but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend, that I may rise and stand, o'erthrow me, and bend your force, to break, blow, burn, and make me new. I, like a usurped town, to another do, labor to admit you, but oh, to no end. Reason, your viceroy in me should defend, but is captived, and proves weak and untrue. Yet dearly I love you, and would be loved fain, but am betrothed unto your enemy. Divorce me, untie, or break that knot again. Take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. Okay, so one of the words here we're going to use is the word conceit. And this is not being conceited. This is a conceit is a extended metaphor. So in Psalm 23, the conceit is the Lord is my shepherd, right? That's going to be extended. So in this poem, there are really two main conceits, extended metaphors. One, the first one is a captured town, and the second part is about a loving partner, or some sort of betrothed romantic relationship. So in this poem, we have two different pieces, one a military theme and one a romantic emotional theme. Interesting that those are the two images he's going to hold up. The first sentence, to me, I love. Batter my heart, three-person God. Batter, I think the image we're using here is battering ram. Batter my heart. Pound away at my heart. Break in. This is somebody who has cold heart, distracted. If it's me, my heart, you're going to have to batter my heart, God, because I am not open to you. I am distracted. I am cold. I am turned away. It's a violent image. Really interesting, right there at the heart. I'm interested in what you all think. Here's his plea. Burst into my heart because it's too cold, God. It's too closed from you. The door is closed. Powerful to me, image right at the beginning, what he's asking for God. Burst into my heart. Then you get a kind of a series of different things, and I think here he's saying, yes, you've tried these other things, but they haven't worked. For you as yet knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend. So again, you can, if you know your scriptures, you're going to see imagery here. Knock, there's a great verse in Revelation, Jesus knocking at the door. Breathe, John 21, Jesus breathed on them, right, to try to give them the Spirit. Shine, you can imagine. Seek to mend. But they're not powerful enough, I think is what the poet is saying. That I may rise and stand. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to overthrow me. Bend, force, break, blow, burn. Can you hear all those verbs, powerful verbs? Break me. See, does that speak to you? God, I need you to break me. I need you to burn me. That's the only way I'm going to really take you in and be the person you want me to be. I relate to that. I love that. I think that's powerful. So then he says, okay, what is the image? I'm like a captured town. Okay, so you imagine a medieval town with maybe a castle around and a moat, and the wall is up, and I'm captured. I'm occupied. You ever feel occupied with something other than God? Then this is your poem. I'm occupied with something else. Now, you might say Satan or greed or whatever it is. Why are we preoccupied? Okay, but we're a captured town, and I want to let you in, God, but it isn't working. I haven't let down the drawbridge yet. Reason, your viceroy. Maybe I can get out of this by logic. Maybe I can think my way out of this trap that I'm in, God. And is reason going to get you out of it? Logic? Mm-mm. No, reason is kind of captured too. It's just too weak to be the spiritual force that is going to let us out. Yet dearly I love you at the same. Now we're shifting to the romantic, right? I love that, from the military to the romantic. I love you, God. And the word fain means gladly, willingly. I'd love you willingly. I'd want to love you, but I'm betrothed to another, your enemy. Again, if you think Satan or whatever it is, my self-centeredness, I am married to somebody else. I'm engaged to something else, God. Interesting imagery. And what I need, God, is for you to bring a divorce. I'm so tied to this other. Divorce, you got to break this knot. You got to untie. I'm too captured by my own self-centeredness, or by the world's ways, whatever it is. Take me to you, imprison me. Now here you get a little paradox that I also love. The only way to be free is if God imprisons me. Isn't that an interesting twist? I want you to imprison me. That's the only way. For unless you enthrall me, I'll never be free. Again, here's a little twist here. I'll never be chaste except you ravish me. Now, this ravish gets a lot of attention if you look it up, because ravish could mean sort of grab, could also mean kind of sexual assault. He's bordering on that, I think. It's that, you could say, it's more than just kind romanticism. It's something, it's grabbing. Take me in. Seduce could even be. I mean, again, you're playing with words, but being seduced by God makes me chaste. There's the paradox again. The way that I'm pure is if, God, you ravish me. Again, a wonderful twist there. And there's even some feminist conversation here in this piece, because if you could kind of see sort of the traditional feminist women's role of being the passive partner is John Donne's voice, is the voice of the person, right? I need you, kind of aggressive male, to get me out of this. Now, you can feel differently about that, but it is an interesting thing for a man to write in this kind of way. I need you, God, to get me out of this divorce and ravish me. Is an interesting little twist there. You also see it's a voice of somebody who is making a plea. It's almost a prayer, right? Batter me, free me, let me go, divorce me, ravish me, is a reaction. So let me pause there. We have some other poems, but anybody have a first reaction? What's your reaction to maybe even the aggressiveness of the almost violence of this poem, of somebody wanting God to do that? What do you all think? Anybody have what's your reaction to this poem? Desperate? And what's your reaction to wanting God to assault us? Yeah. And I'm asking one other question. How do you like that? Yeah, I like it. I think it's provocative. Yeah. How about other people? Not for you, too aggressive. That could be. I mean, it's pretty aggressive. Burn me, right? Yeah, for sure. And I'm a city, and I've been occupied, and I need a new occupation. I mean, a new occupying force. Yeah, I agree with that. It's not like an equality. It's like, yeah, what do you think? Yeah. 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 Too passive, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Batter my heart, right? Beat on my heart. Yeah. and I'm just going to drift with the status quo unless you come. You got to break some walls. Okay, let's keep going. But you see, now you're getting a feel for John Donne, right? This next one is George Herbert. Now I'm going to say similarly, it's also a first person, but this one is a dialogue. And I have to say one other thing too. So there's a French mystic named Simone Weil, who in her autobiography, she says she would have these terrible migraine headaches, so she memorized this poem and would say it over and over and over again. And in her memoir, she says, and I had a conversion experience reading this poem, and I felt Christ take over my life. So it's an interesting background that this poem has touched people. Okay, so here's this dialogue called Love. And there's been various poems about love that have gone along. This is number 3. Love bade me welcome, yet my soul drew back, guilty of dust and sin. But quick-eyed love, observing me grow slack, from my first entrance in, drew nearer to me, sweetly questioning if I lacked anything. A guest, I answered, worthy to be here. Love said, you shall be he. I, the unkind, ungrateful, ah, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand, and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? Truth, Lord, but I have marred them. Let my shame go where it doth deserve. And you know not, says love, who bore the blame? My dear, then I will serve. You must sit down, says love, and taste my meat. So I did sit and eat. Different style, right? So there's a dialogue, and you can start to see similarities and contrasting. So love here is the replacement word for the divine, right? I think we can see that. It's a personification of God, Christ, divine love, whatever that is. And this is a conversation between an individual's soul, George Herbert's soul, and love. And interesting, the back and forth. I think you can feel George Herbert saying, I'm unworthy. Right? Are you catching that? I can't look up. I'm guilty. And love keeps saying, no. Come on. You can come. Let me take you by the hand. You're good. It's going to be okay. Come on. Right? Quick-eyed love. Again, there's hints of a little romantic. Right? Holding hands and looking you in the eye, and it's not as ravishing. It's not as aggressive. It's more flirtatious, maybe even. Anybody feel that? Love saying, "Come here, come on, be a partner with me." Sweetly questioning me. Different vibe here, right? Taking my hand, and then the last stanza there. Still feeling, I'm too sinful, I'm unworthy, I can't come. I have shame. And I think of, if you know the writer, and she's a scientist, Brené Brown, if you're familiar with her, she does a big thing on guilt and shame. And kind of in short summary, we feel guilty for things we have done. Shame, she says, is more about who we are. When we feel we are unworthy in some greater way, that's a burden. I think it's a very modern burden. Shame. I'm a nobody. It's not just who I am, what I've done, it's who I am. I don't deserve this. And there's a message. That's not a problem, says love, right? Who bore the blame? Now then you get the first sort of Christian aspect. This is obviously Christ's sacrifice, but not hitting you over the head with it, right? This is it's a question. Do you know who bore the blame? You don't need to carry this burden and this guilt anymore. Christ has done something for you to set you free. Now, these last 3 lines here I do think are interesting because there's a lot of analysis of who's saying what, because we don't have quotes, right? My dear, then I will serve. That's probably the soul talking. Some think that's actually love saying that. Okay, I'm going to serve you. So, or maybe both. Maybe they're playing with that. But there's some moment there's a little bit of a breakthrough. But imagine it's George Herbert or the voice saying, I'm ready to serve. And then love says, you must sit down. Interesting. This could be read, and I'm interested, this could be read as kind of generous. Oh, come have a seat. Or it could be kind of demanding. Sit down. Matters how you read it. Is when you open yourself up, okay, God, I'm ready to serve. Does God say, go here? Or, come sit down? You could see it some different ways. And then, taste my meat and sit and eat. I think this is a Eucharistic image or a feast image. It could have a sexual image. There's a lot about that too. But there's some invitation to partake of me, kind of Christ. This is my body, this is my blood, could be implication. You kind of have a reaction to that one. So, a different style. Just if you were to compare the two, again, I'm going to try to put you all on the spot. Which do you like better? There's a similarity, right? It's kind of a first-person soul interaction. Which of the two do you like? And I'm going to start to call on people. Carol, which of the two do you like? Yeah. And there's also a similarity, but one is, I'm going to use the word, in the Herbert poem, I'm unworthy. And maybe in the John Donne was, I'm resistant. I like, right? Those are different. It matters kind of the mood you're in. What do you think, Jen? Which of these two do you like? Pardon. Right. Yeah. I'm going to take you by the hand is different than I'm going to push open the door. Uh-huh. What do you think, Timothy? What of these two? Which do you like? You got shame. And did you connect with that? Or did that seem like that felt modern? Not necessarily. Yeah, I think that's right. This is a person, if you've ever felt unworthy to come before, I'm not worthy, that's what this is. And the message, love says, no, come on, that's getting in the way. I got a feast for you. Don't put your head down. Scott, what do you think when you compare the two? What do you like? Is a little aggressive, maybe. But what do you like about the second one? Can you say? Yeah. Yeah, it kind of matters the place you're in. Yeah. That's an interesting take. I do think military image and kind of aggressive passion image, if you're in the mood for that, it connects with you. But it's a little much. Okay, so you're now getting a sense of what they're trying to do as well. They're trying to have you enter into this experience of a person reaching out to God, right? And in different ways, in different moments. So turn the paper over. I've got two more poems for you. And I picked these because they're actually in our hymnal. You could look these up. We sing them all the time, and they're poems that have been put to music. And so let's just take a look at here. And some of these may be really familiar. So this is called The Call, 487 in the hymnal. Come my way, my truth, my life, such a way as gives us breath, such a truth as ends all strife, such a life as killeth death. Come my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows a feast, such a feast as mends in length, such a strength as makes his guest. Come my joy, my love, my heart, such a joy as none can move, such a love as none can part, such a heart as joys in love. I start by looking at what the title of the poem is, The Call. And I'm going to say much of the time we think of God calling people, right? Calling, Paul or whoever. But it's pretty clear the call, and maybe there's a plan, the call is a person, the speaker, calling out to God. Calling God lots of names. We actually haven't talked about sort of structure and style. This one is so much clearer what the style is. You see all the rhyming, and you go into all the rhyme breaks and the rhythm of it, and how, it doesn't take long to see. You see that first line, come my way, my truth, my way, my truth, my life. That's a quote from John 14. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? And then you can see each of the ones go, the way is in the second verse, and the truth is in the third, and the life is in the fourth. So it's very structured, which some people love that in poetry. It isn't just, this guy worked really hard to create this tight structure. It's also very kind of staccato, a lot of one-syllable words. Can you feel that too? Way, truth, life, it's not flowery in that way. Kind of breaking down, what does it mean to be the way? Gives us breath, truth stops strife, life kills death. Again, kind of a resurrection image there about that. Clearly, this is a person reaching out with all kinds of ways to talk about the divine. And again, just maybe you could think of these, if you took at the first verse, there are 9 words here. You might think, which word would I use most for God right now? Is God my light, my feast? That's kind of a Eucharistic image. My strength? All of those are powerful. And then you get, I'm going to say the last stanza is a little more emotive, right? My joy, my love, my heart. That's a question for all of us. Do we use those kinds of words for God? God, you're my love. God, you're my joy. God, you're my heart. Come. These are the being named. Come into my life. The spirit of joy, love, heart. I don't know. In this poem, can you feel a kind of longing? Anybody feel that? I have all kinds of ways to call to you, God, and I want you to. And even come is an image from Revelation. Revelation, come knock at the door. It's a prayer, right? These are ways, God, I'm trying to name you a yearning for this. Okay? And then let me do the last one, and then we can talk about which of the 4 you like or whatever. Okay. So this is, again, it's in our hymnal. This is John Donne again, so I've kind of alternated. This is the dean of the cathedral who had this racy life before. So here's this hymn to God the Father. Wilt thou forgive that sin where I begun, which was my sin, though it were done before? Wilt thou forgive that sin through which I run, and do run still, though still I do deplore? When thou hast done, thou hast not done, for I have more. Wilt thou forgive that sin which I have won others to sin, and made my sin their door? Wilt thou forgive that sin which I did shun a year or 2, but wallowed in a score? When thou hast done, thou hast not done, I have more. I have a sin of fear, that when I have spun my last thread, I shall perish on the shore. But swear by thyself that at my death thy sun shall shine as she shines now, and hithertofore, and having done that, thou hast done, I fear no more. All right, so this first section, first stanza, talking about sin that was before me. I come into a world that's already messed up and self-centered and greedy, and you could say original sin, but that isn't maybe obvious when you're reading it the first time, but now when you look at it, okay, I get it. He's saying, I've come into this world that's already screwed up and sinful. I'm kind of stuck in this world. Can you forgive this, God? Ugh, I've even more than this, right? So I deplore it. I deplore what's going on. He doesn't say I'm not responsible, right? I kind of run into it, but I do think it's a very realistic thing. I'm in a world that's already not got the values maybe you want. So then the second stanza, he says, I've helped other people sin. I've been the door to the, we don't know what that is. Is this drinking? Is this, who knows what it is? Or maybe it doesn't need to be specific. I've been a facilitator for other people's falling from God. And I want to shun it. A year or two, I tried a year or two to not do this, but then I wallowed in a score, right? Score is 20 years. 40, right? So, yeah, I've tried to not do this for a while, and then, God, I fall into my greed or whatever it is, that when thou hast done, you're trying to do this, it isn't done yet. I even have more sin. And then the last stanza, the writer, this voice says, I have the sin of fear. And when you think in the New Testament, how many times angels have said, fear not, don't be afraid. Fear sends you down a road that is not helpful. I have fear, and you can kind of say, I'm fear at the end. I'm not going to be received into, heaven or salvation or whatever. But then he comes through, this author, the voice. There's Christ. There's a shining light that I'm going to get there. And with that, you kind of have at least a message. I don't have to fear anymore. Maybe that's those overwhelming worries that I'm not worthy or too much of a sinner, with the light of Christ, I can let that go. Does anybody catch the pun here? What's the big pun throughout it? What's the name of the author? John Donne. When thou hast done, thou hast not done. Right? So clearly he's quoting that. And so then at the end, having done that, thou hast done. Right? So you could even see a little autobiographical, you're not going to forget me in there, which I think is a little twist about that. An interesting take. Okay, now I'm going to pause, and you all, I want to hear from you. I guess a question is, you've now been exposed to 4 poems. Which is your favorite and why? Which one touches you? Which one inspires you? If you have one. Beth, I'm going to go to you first. Which one do you like?
Well, I think if anything, I relate most to the first one. I was in a toxic relationship for 15 years, and I would have done anything to get out of it. So it's like your mind is like in a blur, and you're just trying to survive. And towards the end, like I would have just been like, Mom, Dad, lock me in your basement just to keep me from going back to that. And even my kids, I'm like, if they end up that way, I will lock you in the basement so that you never have to live that life. But you don't realize it at the time that you're going down like you're just trying to survive. You can go out, you guys see me in church smiling with the kids, but it was hell inside my house. So I relate to the first one because of that. But once I got out, I was like, okay, wow, that was a bad place to be, and I don't want anybody to be in that. So I share that openly because it's hard to talk about.
Thank you for being vulnerable about that, and also saying sometimes we need a rescue. And if people or God is too passive, I can't get out of this thing. So thank you. Control. Sometimes we need to be occupied. Okay, Angela, which one do you like?
So I really like the call, but I think the reason I like it is because I can hear the music in my head from that song, and I just really like that hymn.
Yeah.
So I think it speaks to me. It's not as deep as the other three
It
by
isn't.
any means.
Right.
It's just that I like the rhythm, and I kind of associate with the hymn.
That is okay, absolutely. And it's more poetic, like it's less intense and more structured. Luis, do you want to say? Which one do you like the best?
I'd say I agree that I probably like the call the best. I'd say, despite the fact that it's structurally a lot more, I guess, I don't know if simple is the right word,
Right.
but I think it also highlights the kind of like God's love and mercy very clearly, and how what that does for us inside.
Absolutely. There's a kind of longing for a joy, a love. I put you on the spot. Francine, which one do you like the best?
I mean, the same as all, just because I hear it and it's comforting. And I do like how it's simple, right?
Yeah.
It's not complicated. All the noise of all the other stuff, it just.
Simple. You hand it to Scott. You want to say, Scott? What do you like the best and why?
I think today I like a hymn of God the Father, the last one. It feels narrative and will likely speak at different points in life, depending on where you're at. So I appreciate that.
There's a sense of, God, can you get rid of this burdens of sin that I'm carrying? This is Jenna.
I liked love. I think I could really picture the idea of like a shy guest walking into a party and having there be a really good hostess who notices that that person is shy and coming over and making sure they're being integrated into the party and bringing them in, and that's sort of the picture that I get from love, and so I like that image.
That's so right. And there's a kind of Eucharist. Come share in this. Come share. I want to hear. Which one do you like the best?
So it depends on my spiritual mood. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, at any given time on my spiritual journey, any one of these would be really important to me.
Yeah.
So it's not one over another.
How about today? Or this minute?
Okay, so I guess Love by Herbert. I think because I'm here and I was just able to be with you all and I was just able to celebrate.
Yeah.
So that
Sharing
for
a meal.
me is really important.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, go ahead. Martha, what?
I think I like love too. And one of the things that really gets me in this one is that in the second stanza, halfway down, I, the unkind, ungrateful, ah, my dear, I cannot look on thee. Love took my hand and smiling did reply, who made the eyes but I? If whatever we feel about ourselves that isn't 100% super great, who made us. That's a simple reassurance as there could be.
Ah, it gives me chills when you said that. Because it is, oh, I have all these reasons I can't even look at you, and saying, I made you. I know who you are. Mahesh, you want to say?
I like the hymn to God the Father.
Ah.
I really like it because it has good resolution.
It does.
Like, so at the end, he says, I fear no more. And so it's also to the Father, and so he talks about the Son. At my death, thy Son shall shine as he shines now.
Yeah.
So I just really like how it has a good resolution.
Yes, exactly. He's kind of, am I going to get out of this? Right? By the second verse. You want to say, Patrick, which one?
I like the call the best because it's very straightforward, but I'm really trying hard to like the Holy Sonnet 14. Because,
Okay.
I really like the idea that you can ask God to fight for you.
Yeah. Want to hand it to Jen?
I know. I like the first one, Holy Sonnet 14. I just think there's some sort of like urgency there.
Urgency.
It's also
for sure.
a way of. I feel like it's saying like, to me, get out of the way so God can come in. You know, and I really like that. And I think it's interesting. Well, one, I would not have even understood this poem had you not said it.
Okay.
Thank you. And two, you know, you talk about violence, and I think of a lot of the Psalms, there's some violence there, but it's all about like enemies and like being violent, which I don't relate to, but I relate more to this in a sense of like, I don't know if it's violence against yourself, but it's just, again, that urgency of you need to remove yourself so that God can come in.
I think that's a beautiful way. Words like break and burn me, we don't need to take them literally, but urgency is a good. Anybody here? You want to say, Gary? You want to comment? You want to say, Eileen? Or?
That I came for comfort and spirit.
And
To put out my hand and feel that there was a hand of God.
yeah.
That's the best I can do for you.
Well, and that's what he says. And love took my hand. Yeah.
So I like the call the best, but in part because I like the agency that it gives to the person who's calling out to God.
Yeah.
And, you know, this person is saying, here are all the different things that you are, come, and one of them's going to work. And I used to sing in the choir, and call and response was something that we did a lot, so I can extrapolate from this and hear God saying, so now go do the same thing for other people.
I can see that. Yep, Gary? Which one do you like the best?
So I actually like the last one best, just the structure and, you know, I don't know. But I think probably the first one speaks more to me.
Yeah.
Or is more challenging.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. We've come to the end. For me, I like Holy Sonnet 14 too. Even though there's something, it is kind of over the top. There's something that grabs me. All right. Well, thank you. Now you've been introduced to John Donne, George Herbert. Next time we sing that hymn, you're going to also connect with it. So thank you, everybody. A round of applause for everyone who commented too. Thank you. All right.